Let's sort of deconstruct it before we go into the 8 critical capabilities in terms of the process of change. So if someone's looking there and saying, listen, you know what, I really can't say no to alcohol, I can't say no to sex, whatever they're addicted or enslaved to, or possibly like spending money, or just something that they really have a stronghold, they can't seem to break it, or weight gain, whatever it is. How do you take that person or that client, and what are the important foundations that you try and set up?
It's helpful to have a couple of models and frameworks for people. And I'm going to start with some of maybe the Dr. Joe Dispenza stuff, which informed some of my work that I've done in Power Up 8 initially. And if you break it down into the most simplest 3 things, our personal reality is made up of our personality, and our personality is made up of how we think, act, and feel, right? Sounds like, life 101. How we think, how we act, how we feel. So if we really want to change how we exercise, how we have our diet, or how we interact with our kids, or how we do our work, if we want to change, we have to change how we think, which changes how we act, which changes then how we feel, and that feeling cycle then creates a thinking feeling loop, and we start making the shift. But there are so many things that are, in a way, limiting our ability to change that. And the big 3 things that he talks about is you've got to be able to overcome your environment, your body, and your time. Now, the environment, if you are stuck in a comfortable, familiar, similar environment every day, and we've got 60 to 70,000 thoughts that are running through our minds every day, 90% of those are actually the same as the day before, and the day before that, and the tomorrow. We have to be able to change that within an environment. We have to actually be changing the vision for ourselves, and then be able to do that despite the circumstances around us. So if we're sitting in a bad financial situation, or a bad relationship, or we're stressed at work, we've got to think bigger than that and starting to be relaxed in a stressful environment.
So your environment is crucial. You have to change the way you think in that environment.
In that environment, yes.
Okay. Thinking consciously and subconsciously.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
All right.
You've got to, and the subconscious piece is becoming aware of those thoughts and those beliefs that are sitting at a subconscious level. So regardless of your environment, so Mandela being in prison for 27 years, he was able to think greater than that environment and be able to interact and create a vision for himself and for the country, regardless of his environment or his circumstances. So we've got to be able to get beyond the environment, which is also people. Our reaction and our responses and our frustrations and our characters in our lives that push our buttons and trigger us into getting all...
So something like that, we've got load shedding, we've got no water in the weekends, I've got 48 hours without water, and then I don't have power and there's load shedding. Now, however I respond to that situation is often subconscious in terms of my belief around that, or my emotions around that, or combination of those two.
Correct.
So if I need to change my response to that environment or that situation, then I'm going to have to work on my subconscious thinking and my emotions that are related to that.
And emotions, So we said environment, body, and time.
Yes.
Your body is your body holds emotions in automatic patterns. And as we are triggered by an outside environment or an outside trigger, it stimulates the chemistry that holds that emotional memory together and releases the emotions all over again and the chemistry all over again. So we get triggered unconsciously to feel certain habitual feelings and thoughts. So,
but that's based on beliefs.
Based on not just beliefs, based on experience.
Okay.
Maybe sort of a story you have around that previous experience.
Or self-talk or belief around that experience.
Correct.
So load shedding is like really bad. So then you trigger that thought and then emotion and goes from there. If you think load shedding, if you can see in the future, what I hear you saying is, if you can see in load shedding, you can have a predetermined belief around that. Say, it's time to meditate or spend time with my family, and then try and change the emotions around that. You possibly will change the reaction to that.
And the brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. So if you're stressing and you making worst case scenarios in your head, your body does not know the difference, and your brain doesn't know the difference whether that's real. So it goes into stress response, floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline and all the lovely stress hormones, which creates you to be narrow focused and gets more grumpy and egotistical and self driven. And that's the behavior that we see coming through, and that's all very bad for your health and bad for the people around you, and you end up saying things you regret. So we've got to become greater than our emotional response and be able to sort of use our metacognition, our ability to watch ourselves and remember we have a choice to be frustrated or to be anxious or to be crazy about whether it's load shedding or water or how my spouse or person reacts, and actually choose a different mental state and choose a different emotional state. So cultivate it from a point of choice rather than from a point of reaction.